Hey guys, good morning. I just want to discuss, you know, protein options as it relates to your fitness and health, specifically vegan and vegetarian versus meat eating. So the first thing is we have to know what we're trying to measure here, and it's like really what I'm trying to do is answer the question of like, should I eat vegan or vegetarian for my health? And here we go. So, fitness is defined as increased work capacity across broad time modal domains. Health is defined as your fitness at any one point in time. You can refer to some of our other posts for more information on those definitions and how those have come about. But ultimately, that's not what we're talking about here. So, first thing that I want to just kind of get to is the arguments for being vegetarian or eating vegetables or plant-based diet. So the argument is there's negative effects on your health from meat. Okay, so I'm not even going to argue and say that there isn't possibly problems from having hormones in your meat, chemicals in your meat, carcinogens, etc. I'm not an expert on that by any means, but what I do know is that there's a certain amount of protein that's needed to sustain lean body mass. And if your lean body mass goes down, it has a significant impact on your health and fitness. And certainly, if you've followed any of our definitions of that stuff, you know that affects your quality of life. So ultimately, negative effect on health through eating meat might be a long-term thing, and it's a possibility, not a certainty. But what we do know is certainly that a loss of lean body mass is definitely a detriment to health and fitness. So like when you're deciding between the two, it's like there could be a problem or there's going to be a problem. I would certainly err on the side of there might be a problem, then there's going to be a problem every single time. Like I know that if I'm improving my fitness in an observable, measurable, repeatable way, that it's less likely that the negative effects of possible hormones or chemicals is less likely to affect me than somebody who is not fit. So then the next argument, it's like I guess a case study that kind of goes along with this is like we have several vegetarian and vegan athletes at our gym, and like I have no argument against them doing such a thing. Okay, what like our job here is to help you maximize within the context of your life the rules that you sort of set out for yourself to maximize your fitness. And it's like if you're vegan or vegetarian, like it's not a problem. I just know that the results are going to be different than if you have animal protein. So like for example, negative effects of meat on health, like I know that you're not going to be improving your fitness as fast as somebody who eats animal source proteins. We know that through experience. And like granted, we have a small sample size. I mean, we're talking about less than 10 athletes over the last couple of years, but we know through those case studies that the results happen significantly slower, specifically on the strength end. And definitely there's more injuries related to like overuse. Like there's definitely more recovery needed, I should say. Then second, like, maintaining a fitness level takes significantly more work, specifically around eating habits. Like there's an amount of weighing and measuring of protein that you need to do. Like finding the appropriate sources of plant-based protein ends up being a significant detriment in terms of amount of effort it takes. So kind of moving on to the next argument, like this is one that, again, I'm not an expert on, but my take on it is from, your fitness coaches, your strength and conditioning coaches perspective. So meat production is bad for the health of the environment. So like based on, some of the research I've seen, like there's an argument to be made that like, for example, farming cows creates a lot of greenhouse gases. That, like I said, I'm not an expert on this by any means, but what my question is like, so it's bad for the health of the environment. So what is the purpose of having a healthy environment? And like this is a question you can ask yourself right now and like understand where you stand on this. But like if the health of the environment is so that humans can exist, then we need humans to exist, and we're going to do that by creating healthy human beings. If the health of the environment is so that the earth continues to exist, then it's a little bit different conversation, because that's irrelevant of whether humans exist or not. So with that said, is if we want humans to continue to exist, there's an amount of lean body mass that they need to be able to maintain in order to live a healthy, fit life. And we have a pretty good idea of like what those numbers look like. And if we want to maximize that, we need to have enough protein to support that lean body mass. So with that said, is when you compare the protein out of, like, say, for example, cow versus alternative sources of protein like plants or, say, crickets or bugs or whatever, if you look at the greenhouse gas expenditure between cows versus getting enough protein from crickets, you realize that cows maybe aren't such a bad choice in terms of greenhouse gases. So like, I'll have to find the articles to support that. But what I wanted to say is, like, ultimately, if you're arguing that it's bad for the environment, and what you're saying is we need to eliminate eating protein from humans' diet, then you're missing out on the whole point. Like, it's not helping the health of humans to have an earth that you're not going to live on. So if you support, like, there should be an earth and humans don't necessarily have to exist, then that's an argument that you can make. Otherwise, it's kind of missing the point. And like I said, again, that's a philosophical viewpoint. I personally think that everybody should be eating meat and they should be mindful of the environment. But like, if I don't have enough lean body mass to support the activities that my body needs to be healthy and strong and fit, then my quality of life goes down. And what's the point of having a healthy earth if I'm not healthy? So just generally, in closing, in order to even have this conversation, like, there has to be a measurable definition of health and fitness before you can even start talking about whether plants are worth, being your protein source or not, or whether animals should be. And like, knowing what that variable does to your fitness is absolutely vital. Okay, vegan, vegetarian, plant-based diets are not discouraged on an ethical basis at all. However, experience tells us that it's just more difficult to get the gains that most people are looking for from a fitness program, and they generally happen at a slower pace with more effort needed. So like, the more flexible you are on what foods you are willing to eat is going to make a difference, in how fast you're going to achieve those goals. If you tell us, here are the limitations I have, we're going to work with you. And like, that's not an exception just to nutrition either. I mean, that's, as you've heard in millions of other videos, a bunch of other videos that I've made, is like, we're going to work with you where you're at. But if you can remove this limitation, then you're going to get results faster. Lastly, is don't become a vegan or vegetarian to improve your health. Very basic science negates that as a solid tactic. If you're doing it on an ethical basis, like, I don't want to eat something that has a face. Like, I have no argument for you. I have no argument whatsoever. Or just like, you don't like it. No argument. If you tell me that you're doing something to be healthy, then tell me your definition of health and fitness, and then we'll have a discussion on it. But anyways, that wasn't as concise as I was hoping to be, but hopefully you guys will forgive me for that, and please ask or answer, put your viewpoint in. I'd love to hear it, and we'll have some discussion on it. All right.